Julian wants her milk jug and her sugar bowl, and she thinks it's very appropriate.
Well, it probably is.
Can we head away chatting?
You turn away.
All right.
Because I let it and cut and paste.
Yeah, that's good. You cut me out of it. It's just about him talking, it's not about me asking him the questions whatsoever. Well, I want to give us a wee bit about you. I know you very well, obviously, but lots of people that are here today won't know who you are.
Okay.
If you can give us a wee background on yourself.
My name is Noel McMean. I'm the executive head chef of the Lochland Resort in Enniskillen. I'm originally from Toonbridge, Moneyglass, and really I'm very much a home bird. Obviously, I'm in Toonbridge every week, and I kind of enjoy coming home to see my family, mother, the rest. So.
And what's the first thing? Obviously, cooking is your passion and has been. What's the first thing that you remember about cooking, or where you were cooking, or how you began that passion?
Cooking has always been the first love. Ever since even being part of the Moneyglass concert trip, or being in the Mayallen senior dancers, or being in the football group, or to be in any of the groups that I've had during when I was very young. So the fact is that I've seen it very much as communities. I've seen so much to do with like fundraisers, of having to do cake sales, having to do so many things. So the fact is, at home, that all was something that we were brought into. So it was in my blood to actually cook. So I always certainly remember what was my first dish that I ever made. I always remember having to look after the garden during the summer, before my father would come in. I always remember kind of milking the cows. So there was a lot of kind of being very much about more or less having all our own produce.
So it really was from the start to the finish, from the end product, from the beginning to the end product.
I think it's so important that well, for me, it's about showcasing very much of where I've come from, because I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the people that I was associated with, but most of all my family, because really, you know, I'm a product really of my parents.
Yeah.
So the fact is that I really understand what it was like to look after a garden. So and it's kind of turned the other way now, because this is what I do now. I look after my own garden. I'm very much about self-sustainable, and really, I think that's one of the things about my next book. Really, is about farm to fork.
Okay. And just when we're talking about books, you have already had a wonderful book launched last year. Do you maybe want to tell us a little bit about that?
One of the great things is that in everyone has a story. So in that story, I wanted to put that into a book, and I launched my book first certainly in home here in Belfast, but really then I launched it in New York, Washington, Nashville, all over the States, because it was a New York publication, and then it launched it then in Canada, Britain and Ireland. So I think for it was more an international book, and then last year I was fortunate to kind of be in the top 10 for the World Books Awards, which I won third best cookery book in the world, and that was held in China. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. You know, would you really have expected from a fella from Moneyglass?
I never expected anything, because really all I ever wanted to do was be a good cook. So for someone that just wanted to be a good cook, I think it's wonderful to see that if we take off our blinkers and we really kind of show the story, which is really all about Toonbridge. That was the whole purpose of the book, was really to kind of showcase about what it was like to grow up in Toonbridge on a country farm.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Who inspired you most?
I would say that the people that really inspired me most was my parents, and certainly my brothers and sister, and my aunts and uncles, because the fact is that as we grew up, I told, you know, in the book I kind of told the story regarding about the making of the jams, and making the things that were really like, I thought was like tedious, but had to do it because they were chores that we all had to do. But little did I know that it was like my parents were putting in great skills into my toolbox, and eventually when I left home I was able to take that toolbox, which was very heavy, with full of the kind of the tools of life that I use now, and I still use, and there's much more in that toolbox to use. So I think that's one of the great things about the inspirations, and it's inspiration of people, I think, that come into your life that really are very positive and very focused about helping others. It's not about, it's really not about what you can get, but I think it's what you can give is most important in life.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Obviously you have excelled. Obviously everything you touch is good, but there have to be some faux pas. What was the worst meal you ever made, or the biggest mistake you ever made in the kitchen?
My goodness. When you say that's actually a hard one, because do we want to admit that? Because it's a bit like saying what your downfalls in life. Well, thank goodness there hasn't been too many, but the fact is that I would say there was the one, and I'll say it from one was a positive, that I learned what my first cake was, right? And my first cake was an orange cake, and I put it in the book as Master Noel's orange cake, because I remember most of all that I was able to make that, put that into the oven, and watch it really start to grow. And as it grew, I couldn't believe that something like that could happen to a sponge. So my mother, being my mother, she was very gracious and let me eat it all. But the fact is that I learnt something really hard about that, and that was not to be selfish, because that night I had serious pains in my stomach, in my belly. So the fact was, you share everything. But for that, I remember then my second thing was trying to make bread. And I was so excited because you would add yeast into something. So I made this mixture and put it in, and I waited for an hour to make it rise, and it still didn't rise. And I waited for 2 hours, and it never didn't do anything, and it still was in the oven. So I had to take it out, and it was like a brick. And I remember my father saying, "Don't worry, son, I'll use that for one of the bricks that I use." So I think, on a negative point of view, that was one of the things that I see that didn't work. But I learned, you learn from your mistakes.
Certainly do. What do you think the biggest challenges have been for you?
I think the biggest challenges altogether is growth in people. I think that's the one thing, and how you learn how to help more people. I'm not saying that I'm trying to be a saint by any means, but I think it's a wonderful gift to actually learn how you can take the best out of people. And I see that every day, because I've got a team of, say, between 28 and 39 people in the kitchen. So with that, it's the kind of thing that, not that I just want to train them, I want to develop them. And I wanted them to be developed so much that when they go to somewhere else, they are as strong, if not, they know where the standards are. So we're there to achieve great standards, and the food in Northern Ireland is better than anywhere else in the world. And I say that in the world because we can really compete around the world. And I'm not saying because I'm going to be in Washington, and who knows where in Washington I may be, but I'm saying at this stage, there's a lot of things, who you meet and how you get there, you know what I mean? And it's about the people you develop along that way. That's the biggest gift, I would say, that I could give to anyone.
Other people, okay. Most people know about your famous people that you have cooked for. You do it all the time, obviously, but the largest group there, quite recently. Would you like to tell us about the conference round?
Yeah, it's funny too that sometimes you kind of think, oh my goodness, I don't want to really say who I actually have cooked for, or does it really matter? But and there's different events, and it was like someone that was saying to me yesterday about, having done the G8 with the world leaders, having done it, having met them all, having had the opportunities on it. When I was launching the book, some of the people in the Senate came to my lunch, which was lovely, in Washington DC. And some of them came to the television show that I did in Washington, which was really, really nice. When I was in London, I was so lucky that after, Prime Minister Cameron had invited me to Downing Street. So it was lovely to see all the gang again when I actually walked in there. It was very kind of surreal in some way, but very, very nice. And I think that, it's like, I was in New York last year, and You know, I bumped into Stella McCartney and Stella and a lot of the other people that I did Paul McCartney's wedding that time, and the people that were at the party, there's a couple of them I'm still kind of friendly with, you know. So it's great when you actually do either shows in New York or shows in London, that you actually connect with different people. A bit like the Hairy Bikers, which I would say, and I picked them because they've been the maddest people and the most funniest people that I would love to do more shows with. Yeah, because I found them hilarious when I was even over in London there. It was great to meet up with them again.
Great experience.
It is
like
wonderful.
all of it a great experience, but it certainly hasn't made you forget as they talk about the bowl you were baking. You know, that's a beautiful thing. I think that's what attracts people to you.
Well, that's nice.
Thank you. You know, that you haven't forgotten that, and it's just been an experience, and a wonderful experience, and a challenge for you. Would you have any advice for the young people in Dunedin who maybe think that they couldn't achieve what you have achieved?
You know, I don't really see what I've achieved as a massive achievements.
That's because you're humble.
I hope I am in some ways, because I think that, you know, you can take the man out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the man. But I think for anyone, it was the same advice that I was given many years ago at school, and the principal actually had said, you know, if you want something, you can have it, but all you have to do is work hard for it, and you will achieve it as long as you have a principle of understanding where you want to go to. Once you know, it's a bit like opening a map and understanding I want to go somewhere. Where am I going to go to? And then you go there, and you make it happen. So, and there is a difference between starting and finishing, and I think it's really understand. But if you want something bad enough, work hard and get there.
You can get there, no matter who you're what.
No matter what you want, if you think it, you can do it.
Okay, great positive statement. Have you seen? Obviously, you have seen, because it's happened, the changes in your community in Dunedin, from when you were younger to now. Those changes, do you think they're positive and beneficial to the area?
I can actually, that's a great question, because I can actually smile when I actually say that, and I think I think that tells the whole story. Because if I can smile when you ask that question, I think so many other people will. And I'm one person that comes here every single week, so I see it. I see a change. I see a change in the development and the structure of Tuam itself. I feel that atmosphere regarding to the people. We have great businesses now starting all around the community. We have, and I say we because I still feel that I'm still part of it, and I'm never going to say I. So I feel I always feel that way. So I feel, what do you call it? It's a great way to be involved, whether it's just to come down and get the things or whatever. And I see that through the likes of my own mother, but she comes down through my brothers, through the whole community spirit. So there's that welcome, and I think that's so important that we actually see that, because this is what brings people together.
Without a doubt, there's no doubt about that at all. The health and well-being, one of the projects that we're doing at the minute in the village are garden allotments. So hopefully we'll be able to invite you back again when they're completed. They're just in their early stages at the minute, and I'm presuming that you would confirm the benefits of people out working, growing their own produce, and then cooking their own produce, which is part of what we hope to do here for the local community and further afield. It's just over beside the play park there, and as I say, I'm listening to you in your own garden and then taking that to the end produce. I'm presuming that you would agree that that's a wonderful attribute for benefit for mental and physical health.
I think this is one of the things, and I'm not saying that it hasn't been going for years, but this is something that, what do you call it, for society, it's something that is tried and tested, and it is one of the benefits of sometimes in some ways longer life. Yes. Because we're starting to use things like our senses. One of the things that 2 weeks ago I did a new program. Basically, it's going out through St. Patrick's Day all over America, for NBC, and with it, it was really showcasing very much about where the farmer is. So it was really in the fields to the likes of the gardening, and from gardening to the kitchen, from the kitchen into the plate, from the plate to the customer. So them whole process right through. So what was that video all for? It was about the senses. So what we actually see, and it's all about our well-being, because it's what we smell, it's what we hear, it's what we touch, and most of all, it's what we taste. And the fact is, when we have all of them that are all part and parcel of it all, we do feel better. It's a known fact. It is a known fact, because we want, not just because we feel good, but we feel healthier, and we have a purpose in life itself. And I mean, I cook with fresh produce. This is the year. This year is the year of food for Northern Ireland. That's one of the key reasons why I'm going to be in New York as well, and Washington. So the one thing about it is just really kind of shout about that. Shout really to say that we've got some of the best produce in Northern Ireland. We've got some of the best people cooking here, and we can compete against the world. And I think that nothing like that can, can take, nobody can take that away from us. And the more that we can create that great picture in the children's minds, the better society we will be.
I was about to ask you where you're going to be for the 17th of March, but obviously you're going to be in America, and as you know, our community spirit day is the 19th, so maybe you'd have a direct message for everybody here that's watching you, for their day and for further development in the community.
I wish everyone obviously a happy St. Patrick week. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to be cooking up a storm, certainly there. So I wish everyone the best, and I'm sorry I can't be home here in Tuam. So good luck and best wishes.
No.